and speaking of radicals that it is time to get serious about. According to a new poll from the Pew Research Center, nearly half of the rapidly growing Muslim population inside of the United States of America has an admittedly favorable opinion of Hamas. If you want to see where ignoring this problem leads to, take a look at Europe right now. Take a look at their increase in rapes. Take a look at their increase in pedophilia. Take a look at their increase in cousin marriages. Take a look at the increase to get Sharia law imposed. Take a look at their increase to get blasphemy laws imposed. Start looking at what is reality here. Because to be exact, 44% of Muslim Americans expressed their approval of the gang raping, baby beheading, religious crusading butchers of Hamas to the pollsters. These must be the moderate Muslims that I hear so much about. Their fellow Americans very much disagree, which indicates that we are unfortunately headed towards a major culture clash, because 84% of everyone else in the American public views that violent jihadist group negatively. The support is coming from one area and one area alone. And sooner or later, that is going to have to be addressed. I am not calling for the Muslims in the other 66% to be lumped in with the 44%, but I am calling on them to help us clean up that 44%. And the need for that is all the greater as radical Muslims have gained power in New York City under Mayor Zoran Mandani, and as they have gained immense power in places like Michigan, where Muslim populations have become a notorious problem in places like Dearborn, and where, after burdening us with Ilhan Omar, those voters are now trying to put the Democrat candidate that we discussed earlier, Abdul Ed Said, into the United States Senate. Both of these men frequently voice their open hatred for Israel at every chance that they get. And neither one has been willing to condemn Hamas for anything. The timing of the dangerous problem that this poll reveals is all the more stark given the recent report on the October 7th massacre that dropped in May. It was called Silenced No More: Sexual Terror Unveiled. And it painted a stomach-churning picture of the kind of limitless depravity that was perpetrated against hostages of Hamas, the group that 44% of Muslims in America admit to favoring, as these hostages were held in the tunnels of Gaza, where the captives were starved in suffocating cages underground, despite their captors having stockpiles of stolen food, which their own videos bragging about their stockpiles showed. According to the report, they were also denied medical treatment that they needed, subjected to utterly dehumanizing treatment that was designed to break their spirits, and worst of all, they were subjected to systemic torture that ran the full gambit of physical to sexual to psychological. The sickest part was the weaponization of what has now been termed genocidal sexual violence, where a deliberate and systematic campaign of rape and sexual abuse was deployed by the monsters in Hamas with the express goal to eviscerate the fabric of families by forcing them to perform sexual acts on each other including forcing children to do this, and forcing family members to watch Hamas brutally rape their family members, so that the humiliation and the agony would be witnessed and become a shared memory that would haunt their relationship for the rest of their lives, destroying the family. That report also states, quote, Hamas and its collaborators inflicted sexual and gender-based violence in multiple locations, employing recurring patterns of abuse. The Civil Commission identified at least 13 patterns of abuse across multiple sites, including 1. Rape, gang rape, and other forms of sexual assaults. 2. Sexual torture, including intentional burning and mutilation. 3. Deliberate shootings to the head, face, and genital area. 4. Killings and executions following or committed in conjunction with SGBV, sexual and gender-based violence. 5. Post-mortem sexual abuse, humiliation and desecration of bodies. 6. Forced nudity and exposure. 7. Handcuffing, binding, and restraining of victims. 8. Publicly displaying and parading of women and children. 9. Abduction of mothers and children. 10. SGBV inflicted in the presence or near vicinity of family members. 11. Filming and digital dissemination of SGBV, including use of social media to document, glorify, and amplify the atrocities. 12. Threats of forced marriage. 13. Rape and other forms of sexual violence against boys and men. Both the first-hand testimonies and the forensic evidence confirms that women, men, and children were subjected to brutal, sexualized torture, both during the invasion of Israel on October 7th and for the hostages that continued inside the terror tunnels of Gaza. And it is vital to note that this systemic degradation was not a byproduct of war that got out of control. In this case, it was used as an intentional, premeditated tool of psychological warfare from the beginning as a part of the plan, with the explicit aim of permanently shattering the fabric of families of the victims who could no longer even look at each other. Which is why the barbaric religious crusaders who invaded Israel on that day were already carrying booklets with translated phrases that had been prepared for them ahead of time, such as, "Take off your pants and spread your legs." What was that for, if not for rape? Rape was part of the plan. I am done playing with these dishonest people. If you are so hate-filled that you justify this, you are not worth arguing with. You are not. You are an awful person. And what goes around in this world comes around. That is not a threat. That is not me condoning something bad happening to you. I don't want anything bad to happen to you, to be clear. But what goes around in this world comes around. This was not something that got out of control during war, as rape unfortunately does. Unacceptably so. Rape was something that was planned as a part of Islamist warfare from the beginning. So as the Western world has been confronted with the horrifying accounts of this scale of barbarism, which can no longer be denied based on the mountain of forensic evidence that proves it to be fact, This new poll from the Pew Research Center serves as a chilling wake-up call that 44% of the Muslims in this country support that exact kind of unspeakable, utterly unrestrained cruelty and sexual domination against their neighbors.